still hurting inside. I didn't have enough time to get a lot of that stuff out.
That their father never told them that they loved them.
They've been pretty much left to raise themselves.
Admitting that I screwed up and that I sucked as a person at that time.
Take a man off the street who has been raised in a home where more than likely there was some addiction going on, poverty, low levels of education, and they've been pretty much left to raise themselves.
Up until probably the last 7 or 8 years, it's almost an area of our community and our growth that has been ignored, and you pay the price for that.
Part of the issue that we have is we have in Florida a lot of mandatory sentencing, and it's like anything else. When you try to make one size fits all, a lot of times it doesn't work.
The client has to approach us to say, I want to change my life, and I've heard about Pathways for Change, I'd like an interview. We find out what their drug of choice is, what their support system is. We look at all the factors of how successful are you going to be, and do you really want this? When you walk in the door of the Men's Residential Treatment Program, you'll see right away what a therapeutic community is. 26 beds, very military style, very clean. Our clients will be there for 18 months, learning a very structured lifestyle. We break the phases into 3 month phases, like a semester. So we help them understand they're like being in college. I referred to phase 1 when they come in, they have to wear a black shirt. They don't get to wear the uniform of their brothers. They have to decide whether they want to work hard. They get it the first week, what it's going to take to graduate. Then phase 1 is just really basic living, communication class, purpose-driven life, courses that help them just start maneuvering the world in a new way. And then phase 2, the honeymoon's kind of over. That's when things really get real with their individual therapist. And so they're meeting at least weekly with a therapist. They're in group therapy, in a feelings group, talking about those feelings. In phase 3, they would spend 3 days of their week giving back to our community. And so that's what they do. And we also get to see what they are doing with a little bit of freedom. So we give them just enough. If they're going to break a rule, they're going to do it during that phase 3. But when you do something for somebody else, you give of your time. And then phase 4 are in regular clothes. They're going out to work and school. And there are 3 phase 4s, A, B, and C. So A and B are still in the dorm. Their last phase, they're living at home and coming back and reporting back in for drug screening. We want to see how they're really doing in the real world.
What we've discovered with Pathways is, that term holistic is almost overused, but it's a true statement with Pathways today, in that they embrace the individual. And I believe, again, anecdotally, that quite possibly, for the first time in many of these people's lives, they now have a family.
They don't have a GED And so they're getting their GED with a tutor every day, working with them, and then putting them into vocational training programs. So we have to give them everything they need, like you would your own children. What do you need to be successful?
Often they don't have hope, they don't have role models and stuff, and the staff of Pathways to Change and what they're doing, they provide hope. They provide a vision of what's possible for these people.
Our county government gets it. They understand that recidivism, arrest, release, rearrest, is costing $28,000 a year.
Cost of incarceration in our county, it's about $48 a day. When we put somebody in Pathways, it costs us, less than $28 a day per person.
They understand that you have to make a lifestyle change in order to, beat whatever addiction or problem that you're having in life, and that's their approach. They are not, driven by a checklist, if you will. They're driven by the success rate. What works.
There's hardened criminals, and then there are people that have made mistakes that can change and become very productive members of society.
To watch them phase up, and then finally, ultimately, the graduation, where they give a little speech about who they were. So many times they say, I was a monster, and, my mother is here today. And so that's the goal of Pathways for Change, is that full continuum of care. It's not just getting off drugs, but it's building a life.